Perfect. Hello, this is Goku for the 7-1, and I'm back here to make a quick video. So, there are a lot of games coming out. Shadow of War and Metroid Return of Samus are two games that fall in this camp that people are getting really, really mad because of decisions they're making. Shadow of War is going to put microtransactions, and people get upset about this. People are like, oh no, you shouldn't do that in a $60 game. Well, I'm sorry to tell you this. I'm sorry to inform you of the bad news that game prices, the price that you have to pay for a game, has not gone up since the 360, which is over 10 years ago, but the development cost of games have skyrocketed. And you're upset that developers are trying to find interesting ways to increase revenue without forcing you to pay a certain amount of price. Now, maybe Shadow of War is going to do something horrible that should not be done, and that's fine. If they do something horrible, I will complain about it, and ideas like that should be squashed if they do something horrible. But if they simply say, hey, here's a way that you can get X, Y, and Z, and here's another way you can get X, Y, and Z, and it's exactly the same way it would have been if there were no microtransactions, then what they're doing is not wrong. Now let's get on to Metroid for a second. So Metroid's going to have some content locked behind amiibos. Now, the only problem I have with this concept is if the amiibos are not readily available, which might actually be a concern. And if that's true, then Nintendo needs to find a fix to this. One idea would be to have a card set where you can just pay $5, $10 to buy cards that do the exact same feature, or just have an online store where you can buy all the amiibos. Either one is a perfectly good fix, but if I have to spend $50 on a select amiibo to get something, like I know Breath of the Wild, there are a couple of amiibos that right now, if I were to buy them because I didn't pre-order them, I'd have to spend $50. That's an issue. That needs to be fixed. But that's a completely separate thing to, is this inherently a bad idea? And no, this is not inherently a bad idea. There is no inherently fault to this concept of going, here's an additional feature to the game, but you have to spend $15 on this amiibo to get it. And for people who are saying, well, this is locking hard mode. No, this is locking fusion hard mode. There is a standard hard mode, and we don't know what fusion hard mode is. If it's simply a hard mode with the fusion suit, now I'm thinking it might actually be something more interesting. I might make a video on that in a minute, but I don't think there's any fault in this. The game looks amazing. And if you want to lock a hard mode, but you want to do something interesting and lock that behind an amiibo, I'm fine with that. That's fine if it's interesting and if it's cool. This is a $40 game. I'm willing to spend a little bit more. I bought my amiibos. Now, for the people who can't get the amiibos, that I understand, that is a problem they need to fix. But we have to realize that companies have to find a way to make money. They have to find a way to increase profits. And there are various ways you can do that. And optional add-ons is a very good way to do this. It basically says, if I want to spend money on said thing, I play a lot of free-to-play games, and I spend money on those games. I spend what I want, what I think I can spend on those games. That is a choice I have. The same thing, and this is a YouTube thing, is Patreon. I don't have a Patreon because I don't think anybody would pay for it, but the people who do have Patreons, they set goals and they set various things, and you get content. And every channel that I am involved with their Patreon, or I'm thinking about getting involved in their Patreon, have reasonable perks. They have things. Star Wars Explain has a Patreon, and it's reasonable. To get what I want, I pay what I want to pay, and I'm cool with that, because then my money goes directly towards that YouTuber. It's a way of making it where the things that we love get the money that they need to be able to make newer ones. And that's fine. And so if you don't like these ideas, don't buy the add-ons. Don't say I'm going to boycott the game, just don't buy the add-ons, and then if they're not making money on these add-ons, they're not going to have them in the future. Don't boycott a perfectly good game just because they have one aspect you don't like, because that's just going to get you to not have that game in the future. Do you want a part 3 to the Shadow War series? Do you want that? I'd like a part 3 if I enjoy this game. But hey, maybe we won't get one because maybe nobody will buy the game because we're going to be brilliant and boycott this stuff. Because that's a brilliant idea to make it where the developers are going, oh, we can't make this game because we're not making money on this game. We got to find a good way of dealing with this. And yes, speak with your wallet. But speak to the aspect of the game you don't like. Don't just outright not buy a game that you actually would enjoy because they have an additional cost. Now, if you find out, like if you hear a review and they say the game's unplayable unless you spend $50, that's an issue. And the last thing I'll say on this, I know this video is running quite long, but I actually did run into a game that did do something similar to this. I spent $60 on this game. This was a free-to-play game that I spent $60 because I was excited for, and now I'm never going to play the game again. And that's Marvel Heroes. And the reason I stopped playing Marvel Heroes is because they put key costumes in loot boxes and then pretty much said I'd have to pay $50 to get some of these key costumes I wanted. That I'm against. I think loot boxes should be extraordinarily cool items, not things that are like standard that would just make your standard play enjoyable, but things that like iconic costumes I don't think should be in there. I think they should be much more out there, more interesting costumes. That's my problem with that. And you could call me a hypocrite, but please leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear your opinion. This was Goku for the Some One, and I'll see you next time. YouTube.